Why do some ideas, movements, and even people hold sway and remain durable while others fizzle and fade away? This is important to our study of Agile, so let's take a look at it this week on the Badass Agile podcast. Greetings, team. Welcome to the Badass Agile podcast. I'm your host, Chris Williams. Hey guys, welcome back. Great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you being here with me every week. I have a contemplation for you, and it was spurred by something that I heard on the Howard Stern show. Howard Stern was interviewing Sarah Silverman, and at one point he asked her why certain comedians had so much talent, so much skill, and yet never seemed to achieve or sustain popularity or success. Her answer was they stopped writing new stuff. And I want to dig in on that, but first let's take a moment to remember why we're here. To create an elite tribe of leaders who truly serve their clients and communities by doing what matters and what works, relentlessly chasing value and excellence like a badass. There's so many resources out there about what you need to do to be agile, but we're focused on who you need to become in order to lead teams. So let's hammer down those fundamentals to create a truly unique and powerful force in this industry. Now guys, if this helps you, tell your friends, talk about it on social. Come join us in the Badass Agile Listener Lounge on Facebook. Everything you need, the links are in the show notes below. And hey, if you'd like to stay in touch with what's happening in the Badass Agile Forge, you can sign up for a very special newsletter, and I'll be sharing tips and updates with you. Okay, Agile in and of itself is a movement. And at the moment, it's fairly popular. So there's loads and loads of discussion about how to do it better, how to do it right, how to do it differently. But amidst that discussion, there's one thing missing, which is forceful new voices. Here's the thing. When you stop creating new things, when you rest in a place where you're leaning on what has always worked, you're no different than what we call legacy mindset thinkers when we meet them in large enterprise. We're very quick to condemn those people who are leaning on the way we've always done things as their first line of defense against change. And yet, as Agilists, are we too buried in tradition? Are we failing to think forward? Are we failing to let go of what's comfortable so we can enjoy the spoils of continuously evolving and getting better, learning from what works, throwing away what doesn't? I think that all growth requires that we cut our teeth on the unknown, on the uncertain, on the unproven. We owe it to ourselves to be continuously experimenting with new ideas and techniques that could make agility, or just in general, ways of working, delivering product, or finding flow better, more effective, especially with the unique challenge of doing it at scale. You know something, I'm starting to think that every time a new framework comes out, we should run from it. Instead, we should be looking to take the best ideas of all the existing thinking and look to retest it and evolve it. Now, here's a side note. By evolution, I don't mean small, tiny changes or adjustments to what we're already doing. There has to be a sense of something new, something that goes 180 degrees against what we're currently doing and believing. This is why new voices are so important. This requires not just looking at what's not working, where the gaps are, and proposing to tweak or twist them a little bit to try to make them fit existing frameworks and ways of thinking, but rather to come up with a completely new paradigm, something that hasn't been considered or tested yet. And you might ask me, well, give me an example. What might those things be? The truth is, I don't know, because it hasn't been invented yet. There's an awful lot of opinions out there, isn't there? There's an awful lot to read, lots of blogs, lots of podcasts, lots of videos. And it's difficult to know which ideas are good ideas worth trying and experimenting with, and which are just nonsense, things that aren't going to work, things that are new for new's sake. It's difficult to navigate that minefield. However, it's still important that we do it. In my case, my belief is that the processes matter less than the characteristics and the personalities that we develop in our leaders. That's my experiment. And someday, I'm hoping that at the forefront of Agile, there's more recognition and more attention paid to developing those leader characteristics. And that's not an overnight thing, that's hard to do, but I'm working on finding a way that works at least for a few people at a time. And I'm finding that when you do it, it creates a worthwhile outcome. That's my little contribution for now. I've got plenty more coming. And in my case, less and less of those things are about the development or software practice itself, and more about how we team, how we collaborate, how we innovate. So that's my little corner of the universe, but my question to you is, what's yours? It can be on the process side. It can be on the people side. It can be on the philosophy side. We definitely need to deal with the issue of how to integrate multiple teams and initiatives or concerns in a large-scale environment. How do we properly synchronize with marketing and technology and architecture and all the other moving parts of an organization? Or how do we decompose them and come up with a new way of orchestrating so that we don't create dependencies, blockers, loss of value, and leaks in productive, meaningful work? The first person to tackle that in a meaningful but simplistic way that's easy to repeat and breaks things down into simple mindset and habit pairs will make a massive contribution to our community, because at the moment, one of the biggest problems that we all share is how to make this thing work in complex and large environments. For other people, it'll be the discipline of applying these rules to different areas of enterprise or areas of endeavor. And then for yet another group, someone has to answer the question of, well, if Agile isn't for everything and it's not a magic bullet, what do we do to improve the state of those kinds of initiatives, those things that can't be broken down into iterations or smaller increments, those things that can't deliver value every 2 weeks? What have we learned from what we've built here that can apply or extend to other areas? The point is this: Sarah Silverman dropped a lot of wisdom that goes far beyond comedy. If you're not writing new riffs, if you're not constantly pushing the envelope and testing yourself with new material, trying it out on audiences, better still, continuously mining, harvesting, and fostering the creative craft, then how do you expect to come up with anything new? You can be funny, you can be effective, you can be popular in the moment, but if you're not moving the dial, stretching the edges, and going into those places that are straight up uncomfortable, not only are you not going to grow, not only do you lose relevance when faced with the courage of others who will take that leap, you're also not doing anything to serve the community, the philosophy, the practice itself. Now, not saying that you have to. However, I think people who have found this podcast, who are drawn to it, have done so because they believe that they're capable of something bigger. They're interested in taking this thing that we built and not just practicing it until it's no longer profitable to do it, but to really contribute, elevate it, and grow it. So if that's you, it's more important now than ever, in this time of massive change, to reflect on those gaps, realize that in order for Agile to survive the next year or two, it's going to have to offer something in response to the massive shifts and drifts that we're seeing in 2021. So let's get after it. Pick up your pen and paper, do what you got to do, start brainstorming some ideas, your observations. One of the easiest ways to get creative and get inspired is to go read what other people are saying. Go look at the current thinking, punch holes in it, or get inspired by problems that other people are talking about, but haven't quite come up with a solution yet, or at least a proposal. You could be that person. And yeah, it requires courage to put it out there. I get it. It requires that you be ready for people to laugh at you, for people to tell you that you're wrong. But that's true of all great ideas. All change must go through that test. It's the price you pay. It's the toll of being an innovator, of being a leader, of being someone who helps drive what comes next, rather than sitting around waiting to receive it. And as I'm saying this, if, for you, it feels like you're called to be one of those people, someone who makes change, someone who incites growth and expansion, then you already know that this is something that you have to do. The question is, when will you do it? And my friends, I can tell you from experience that the only time is right now. If it's in you, you got to move. You got to put it out there. We live in great times. If you have a voice, you've got a medium to carry it. So let's get up. Who will answer the call? Will it be you? I hope so. Guys, that's it for this week. You can reach out at badassagile.com or find me on Twitter at badass_agile. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being true believers. I look forward to next time, and until then, stay badass.